Hey guys, welcome to the Dead Set Legends podcast. I'm Gus Warland. I'm here with Jude Bolton and Wendell Saylor. You must have been pumped after last night. What a performance by the Melbourne Demons that you said at the start of the year we're going to win the comp.
Oh, mate, they're playing super football. They just demolished Geelong last night. So all those long-suffering Demons fans have just suddenly got a chance to be back in the grand final, the first time they've been in the grand final since the year 2000. So huge effort.
Exactly, but they won't get a chance to watch it because the game's over in Perth, but fair play to you. What about Del? Did you play a lot of golf this week? You've been walking. How's your headspace, big brother?
Mate, 2 games of golf this week, but just relaxed a little bit, just stayed at home, watched a little bit of Netflix and just but went for those walks in the morning. They're good. Gus, you're right. They're good, those morning walks.
Absolutely. The best people that are up between 5:30 a.m. and 7:30 a.m.
in the morning.
Everyone says hello to you. Everyone is nice. It's just a really good place to be.
Our next guest goes by the nickname The General. Known for his leadership skills both on and off the field, he's one of the most respected AFL players to have ever participated in the game. He's a 4-time premiership player, 3-time premiership captain and 2-time Norm Smith medalist. He's even managed to kickstart a successful career in media, working in both radio and television. Hopefully he can give these guys some tips. Please welcome Dead Set legend, Luke Hodge.
Hodgie, welcome to the Dead Set Legends, mate. What did you think of the Melbourne Demons last night?
Mate, I think I was the same as everyone else. I think Melbourne have made a liar out of every player that said prelim finals are the hardest to win. So I know I got asked many times last week on how they're going to handle it. And I actually thought that the 2 weeks leading up were going to be a lot of pressure for Melbourne. They've had 58 or 59 years of waiting to get into a grand final and win a premiership. And I thought the pressure might have got to them, but tell you what, they proved me and so many others wrong.
Hodgie, how do you reckon they're going to cope with this 2-week Super Bowl style break now? They're in Perth. That's where they're going to be. They're going to be based. Is that going to be a good thing or a tough thing for them, the fact they have to wait now after they had so much momentum coming off the game last night?
Yeah, well, normally I would say it would be a bad thing having that 2 week off, but they've just come off the 2 weeks off down at Joondalup. They were in a sectioned off little quarantine camp area where they could train but do nothing else. And look how they performed after that. So normally I'd sit back and say for players that haven't been there before that sometimes you can overthink the game, go through it too many times, and by the time it comes to game day that you're mentally fried and you're just wrecked because you've played it too many times. But tell you what, how they played coming off the week by and spending 2 weeks down there in Joondalup, then you sort of can't argue with their form the way they went.
Hodge, what about the Brisbane Lions? So disappointing, mate. What was going on there, you think?
Yeah, well, you're right, mate. They for a team they didn't play finals for 10 or so years, and for a team that's jumped up and been in the top 2 the last 3 years, you probably sit back and say it was a disappointing exit. But in saying that, if you look at the circumstances, you can probably understand why. The first year that they were out in straight sets, they just weren't ready for it. Last year they beat Richmond, and they lost to Geelong, who were just bigger and stronger. And this year, they finished top 4 with no Rayner, no Hipwood for the last half of the year. And then in the first final, they lost McStain the first minute and had Jack Payne, who's a young fullback, come and play centre forward for him, who also got knocked out. So people say don't use excuses, but when you lose 3 of your key forwards in 2 big finals, you can understand why. And the fact that they probably should have won that game against the Doggies, but they just didn't capitalise when they had the opportunities. And unfortunately, in finals, it's ruthless and cutthroat, and the Doggies did the right thing when they needed to.
Hodgie, you're great, mate. Alistair Clarkson, there's a lot of talk that he's, there's Carlton are throwing big money at him. Everyone's going to try and jag him back. But when do you see him returning to the coaching foray?
Oh, look, I've been in contact with him occasionally, and everything that I've got that he's going to have a bit of a break. Knowing the bloke and Bolts, you've run across him enough that he's just a competitive beast and he loves coaching and he just loves, he played 10 years of football and he wasn't the most skilled bloke. He was a battler who just tried and got everything out of himself. Hopefully he doesn't hear that.
We'll send him a copy of that.
But just knowing what kind of person, how much he loves football, well, I don't think it'd be far before he does, but I think Matty, his older son's going into year 12. And I think Karen would love to just have a bit of time with her husband. In saying that, she's probably sick of him at home because he's been home for a month now. But look, I wouldn't be surprised if he has a month off before he considers anything.
Doesn't take
has a year off, before he considers anything.
Doesn't take long for the missus to say, "Okay, mate,
get out of the house."
Get out of the house.
Well, that's normally the stage by the off season. He normally has about 6 weeks off, and by that stage she's telling him to get out of the house. So
exactly. Hodgie, this year's seen the Richmond just tip out of the 8, and which is, a bit like for NRL people listening to our show, probably more NRL than AFL supporters. That's like the Storm missing the 8. So now we're just starting to see some of the bigger sides like Geelong last night just starting to tip over the other edge. Are we about to see a sort of a new set of teams at the top?
Yeah, I think it looks that way. I think if you look how Melbourne have been outstanding, the Doggies had their chance in 2016, but I think that was just that one-off where they played the 4 best weeks and got up there, because leading into 2016, they had a new captain, they had a new coach, and they sort of surprised everyone. But I think, in saying that, we do say that about Geelong every year. We say to them that they're not going to make the finals, they need to rebuild, but they continue to play good footy and get there. But you could sort of see the heartbreak on Jal Sold last night when another failed finals appearance for him, and you feel for him considering what he's done and how much he's put into the Geelong Footy Club. But I wouldn't be surprised if a few more clubs come through. Hawthorn's having their time down the bottom now. Richmond, Sydney seems to keep popping up as well. That's another surprise.
It's annoying.
Hodgie, you've played in so many winning prelims. Who wins tonight? It's a massive game for Port Adelaide and the Western Bulldogs.
Well, Bolts, I'm probably not the right person to ask, because I said that Geelong were going to win last night and I was way off. So people say that I know a bit about football. I'm the worst tipper that you'll ever see.
You're pretty good at it.
I've got to go. That's because I don't have to think normally. I just react. You're going to have to go Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide, I think last year they had a few home finals and they blew their chance. They've been so good this year. And I think just the football they're playing, the excitement they're playing with that home crowd is going to be too strong. But how can you not... You know that the Doggies are going to go over there and give absolutely everything. They've come from behind many times. It should be a belter of a game, but I think Port is going to be too strong.
So we Bulldogs by 6 goals then.
Oh,
put that in our multi.
But you're probably spot on there.
Hey, Hodgie, how much have you enjoyed it? We had a bit of fun with you in the lead up about, in your intro and stuff, but you have really seamlessly gone from the Hawks and now into media and so forth, in between obviously going up to Brizzy. How much have you enjoyed the last few years of your life after being so successful for so long? It must have been a bit of a worry thinking, what are you going to do after footy? How much have you enjoyed it and how are you travelling?
Yeah, well, I jumped on the scales the other day, and the scales say I've enjoyed it. I've done a couple of games with Bolts, and I've had to move over and put my arse cheek on half of his seat. So I know it was a smooth transition. I felt. I think as soon as you finish with football, I was lucky enough to go straight into a little bit of coaching, which fills in a bit of time. I've spoken to a few mates prior, and they said as soon as you have some downtime, that's when you really start to struggle with the transition. But I was doing work with Channel 7 in preparation from about 2012 and 13. So when I finished with Hawthorn, I was going straight to Channel 7. Luckily enough that I went up to Brisbane and had a couple of years up there. But we've done a lot of preparation and I guess a lot of hours just trying to improve and get better at it. But I still know that there's that many areas that I need to improve on with the commentary. But I'm enjoying it, and the best part is it gives a lot of time at home with the family as well midweek.
Hodgie and I certainly just let the Channel 7 wardrobe team know. Just give us a little bit of space there, just especially around the legs.
You're travelling all right, mate. Don't worry about
it. I say, Bolts, mate. You're fitter than what I was.
Please. Come on.
Mate, just finally,
So
obviously,
handsome.
the long-suffering Melbourne Demons supporters. I mean, 1964, their last premiership. 2000 was their last grand final appearance. Can they do it?
Oh, mate, you hope so. You look at what it meant to the Western Bulldogs supporters back in 2016. You had people that weren't even Doggy supporters crying. The only thing is I feel for them, because you've got so many Melbourne people that have gone through such hard time over the years, and they're going to have to watch it on TV because they're not allowed to go to WA to watch it. So, look, I hope they do win it, but you feel for the supporters that can't get there.
Look, Hodgie, it's an absolute pleasure. You're always available to us to talk AFL and other things on our show. So really enjoy the next couple of weekends, mate, and enjoy the grand final. And thanks so much for joining us on the Dead Set Legends once again. But boys, I want to talk now about the highest prize money in sport. It just seems to be at the moment completely out of control. Let me give you a couple of prize pools. For the UEFA Champions League, The prize pool is $2 billion. That's with a B, right? And the winner gets $100 million. Formula One, the prize pool is 0.8 of $1 billion. The winner's prize, $100 million. FIFA World Cup, $576 million in the prize pool. Have we, Del, gone past the point now where us mere mortals that watch the sport and love the sport will look at those prize pools and go, it's just too much when you think of all the other dramas we have in this world. Perhaps we could share the love a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think that's, mate, obviously the product is obviously very entertaining and we're watching it. So if you can make that money, good luck to them. But I reckon it's ridiculous, Coin, especially... Have a look at the UEFA money. That's ridiculous. But for me, good luck to him.
For me, when you see someone like Patrick Cantlay in the Tour Championship, the prize pool or prize winnings was $15 million for that round of or a couple of rounds of golf.
And you know, in that round of golf, they don't start at the same level.
He started at 10 under because of the way he played beforehand. So he's well in front of the others.
Because of other tournaments, he's 4 shots up over the other guy.
Yeah, gifting him $15 million. But think of that at grassroots golf and growing the game and stuff like that as well. I think we've gone into this new stratosphere now, and as Del said, there's eyeballs on it, so they deserve to be paid well. But they are all on incredible contracts. The thing for me also is the Super Bowl is only $11 million for the prize pool, the prize winnings. That seems out of whack. Like compared to the others, I'd far much more watch that than maybe the MLB World Series.
Especially when the ads and that, the ads, what they pay for those ads and stuff, like that's a good product. Like,
yeah, they're $2 or $3 million to 30 seconds or something, I think. But that's only a one-off game, that $11 million they win. Yeah. And obviously they're getting paid pretty well in the lead up to those matches. What about Wimbledon? $3.9 million to win Wimbledon. That's 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks' work. Boxing has gone through the roof. What about Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor? Mayweather earned $275 million. Yeah. And McGregor won $85 million. Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao. Mayweather won $250 million for that fight.
Money Mayweather.
That's what he does, mate.
He signs all his deals himself. He doesn't have too many third parties coming in and chewing it all, and he just earns all that pay-per-view. So he's
mastered it. It's eyeballs on that
100%
pay-per-view. That's the number, and you cough it up.
And he sells it well too.
So Clint Newcomb, John Newcomb's son, has just texted me. Nuke won the 1967 Wimbledon. And he said, Dad won a £50 voucher for winning Wimbledon in 1967. So in that BB King and U2 song, I said, where was the voucher for? And he said, it was a menswear store in London. He won Wimbledon in 1967 and got a £50 voucher.
Gets you a shirt or a...
Unbelievable.
Maybe a tie. Yeah.
The US Open at the moment is going on. The title prize money for that is nearly $60 million US. Winner takes $2.5 million US. We've got a few callers to go to, but there is some gender stuff that we want to talk about just briefly.
Absolutely. The gender disparity, I guess you look at the 2019 Women's World Cup was the most watched edition of the tournament in history, but despite its projected overall total audience of 1.1 billion people, being a third of the 2018 Men's World Cup, the prize fund was actually 9 times less. So there's still that big gap.
Yeah. I think it's coming together slowly but surely.
Particularly the likes of Wimbledon and things like that. They're slowly closing the gap, which is good.
Okay, let's go to Mark in Willowvale. G'day, Mark. What are your thoughts on prize money in sport? Has it gone too far?
Look, for me, it's okay. I mean, I think a sport like soccer, which is the biggest sport in the world, it costs a lot of money to run those clubs, to move people around. It does seem obscene, but they are the best players. If you think of anyone who's the best in the world at anything, they should make a lot of money. I'd rather talk about corporations where, they lay people off and then the executives pay themselves a bonus at the end when they've lost money.
The golden handshake.
Outrageous.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Sport, and when you think about the value of sport, just cast your mind back to how we felt when there was no sport. It's climbing the walls, so, I'm okay with it, mate. I think it is outrageous. We can't relate to it. But, I think these guys are the best in the world and they deserve it.
Yeah, fair call. Well done, Mark. What about Ray in Kingsford? G'day, Ray. What are your thoughts on prize money in sport? Has it gone too far?
Gone too far. Love your show, boys. I think for sports like tennis and golf especially, things like that, anyone who makes a quarterfinals in tennis or top 10 in golf has got to put 10% into a nominated charity.
Oh, and, I like that thought.
That's good. Yeah,
and that'll spread it around a bit and won't make the viewers like myself think less of them.
Yep, no, that's a good point.
You make a good point, Ray. I think, but I think a lot of the players do have their own charities and things like that. They're doing amazing things away from their own sports. But I agree with
A lot don't.
Yeah, a lot don't. And I think just giving back to charity, but also the investment in the grassroots. So we're seeing the next generation. I think that's so important as well.
Well, you both got paid well over what you deserved when you were playing. So what do you say about that?
Delivered.
I played for the love of it, mate.
Boys, I want to talk now quickly, especially to you, Del, around the Dally M's and the top 5 ratings, big fella, because the Dally M's at the moment, when they went,
Behind
into
closed
hiding,
doors, yes.
so forth, number 1 was Tommy Trbojevic, Walker was 2, Cleary was 3, Brandon Smith was 4, and Hughes from Melbourne was 5.
Yes.
Can you see anyone outside of those 5, and do you think they've got those ratings right?
I think they got those pretty much on the money. I think Nathan Cleary will probably make a bit of a move there, but Tommy Turbo, he's a Dally M.
He's put in an incredible year, hasn't he?
Unbelievable. He's been so good, just classy. I know Tedesco's been at a level for a long time, but he's just gone a little bit better, I reckon.
Okie dokie.
Forward, drifting across, Tom Trbojevic, alarm bells ringing, all across Townsville, and it's Tom all the way.
Wow.
The playmaker, obviously, Cody Walker,
Yeah.
ranked second. I mean, he's just been able to just have such an impact this year, though.
Well, he can do things that he doesn't know what he's going to do. So how are you going to know what he's going to do? He's just like Cliffy Lyons used to, and McGregor.
You're McGrady. McGrady,
Just
yeah.
that magic, that Corey magic. That's what they do, man. The boys. Yeah, I love it. I love the way they play.
I reckon Walker, any other year, probably wins it himself when you turn the actual stats and so forth. He's been incredible. A little bit surprised that Teddy's not in there?
No, I think because I think a lot of those Roosters players, I know Teddy's been their best player this season, but Joey Hargraves takes some points, and then Joey Manu takes some points.
Joey Manu would have taken a lot this year,
That's
you'd
right.
think.
Yeah, he's been pretty good.
Okay, what about Brandon Smith? The fact is that he may not play again
Oh, man.
this year. We're still waiting for those x-rays on that sort of chin and that sort of face knock that he got last
Well,
night.
it's just such a big loss because he brings the energy. Like, not only is his leg speed good, and obviously he's tough and aggressive, but he brings his block of cheese. He brings great energy on and off the field, and that's why he's so important to the Melbourne Storm.
Hughes last night was incredible, wasn't he?
Oh, he's fantastic. Fantastic. I mean, and then obviously we're waiting to see how Cleary, the kicking game, he and Adam Reynolds as well. How are they going to go tonight?
Oh, it'll be great. It'll be great to watch. I just want to see the pressure that they're going to put on the kickers and how they'll go.
Now, as a bloke who has played at the highest level at 2 different codes, now you've been a commentator for many years, do you get more excited for these sort of games you're going to commentate tonight than any sort of normal season game?
Oh, you like playing on them, but like now we've worked all the season, and now it comes to business end of the season. I'm excited to call tonight. I can't wait.
Wayne Bennett, huge part of your life, Del, and of course he's got the South Sydney team humming along nicely. They've got a hell of a challenge tonight up against the Penrith Panthers. What sort of man is he outside of what we see in press conferences and being what, if you don't support a team that he coaches, someone that you don't necessarily love?
Yeah, look, I think people that don't know Wayne Bennett just think he's a bit arrogant and, he's just a bit, it's all about him. But behind closed doors, like around the boys and around the families and that, he's actually quite funny, He likes to have a bit of a joke, and then he gets to know you, the person, like someone like Neville Costigan to Jamie Soward to Darren Lockyer, but they're different personalities. So he'll tap into, like, he knows Neville likes going fishing and likes having a little bit of a bet and a beer. He goes, "Nev, how many beers you have on the weekend, mate? You get a few fishes as well, And then Lockyer, he's just, and Shane Webke. So he's a country bloke, and loves talking about the cows and farms and that sort of stuff.
Ability to build that rapport with each and individual.
Yeah, that's right, and that's why you want to play for him. That's why he gets people or blokes to play for him, because he buys into you buy into him, and then I just think he's such a good man manager.
So when people talk about man and manager, I hear it all the time. Yeah. What's he like actually as a footy coach? Like in terms of tactics, or is he actually moving you into positions and saying, this is how we're going to defend and this is what I want you to do? Like, how much is he hands-on in terms of the actual football?
Yeah, no, I think like he's big on defence. He's big on working for one another. So he's got that side down pat. But like when Craig Bellamy and he had some attacking coaches, they'd bring their stuff into, like Jason Demetrio. He'd bring his sort of edgy, because you've got to move with the times a bit. And Wayne, tactically, Wayne was okay as a coach, but I think his strength is man managing. So he'd have people around him, as assistants, and that's why Craig Bellamy was a pretty good assistant when he was in the Broncos.
Yeah, he's not too bad at all. So is he the type of guy that if you had personal stuff or outside of footy stuff, you could go to him and you'd feel safe and trusted that you could talk to him?
100%. Like, a lot of the guys had different stuff going on, And a lot of the guys would just bounce their stuff off Wayne, Glenn Lazarus, myself, and he'd be so good at doing that. He wouldn't have all the answers, but he said, this is what you need to probably do, and you need to give yourself a bit of a break here, and you look burnt out, so probably not so many promos or something, He's quite a good man.
Hard to juggle all that stuff.
Yeah.
You've heard him as a motivational speaker.
Well,
I've heard that he's incredible at that.
We had him come to the club at the Sydney Swans in 2002, and we were a bit of a rabble at that particular period. Paul Roos had just taken over, and till the day I die, will remember Wayne Bennett speaking to us, because he came in, he just released his book, Don't Die With the Music in You. And so he just came in and he goes, guys, I've been stressing about what to talk to you about, but I want to talk to you about attitude. And he just started eyeballing each and every individual in the room. And I can remember sitting up, I had the same spot I sat all the time up the back of this particular meeting room, and I could see the sweat dripping down some of the guys in the front row in front of him, and he was barreling. I remember he barreled Paul Kelly, one of the greatest Swans players, and he goes, how many premierships have you won? And Kel sort of looks up and goes, none. And he goes, you've got to change. And he was just, the way he talked about attitude, and he talked about all the effort areas and all the defence.
Yeah.
It was just phenomenal. And I look back and think about how we did start to affect change as a team because of that sort of motivation.
I just can't imagine him standing up there and fluently just speaking, because I only see him in the press conferences really, and he doesn't give a lot there. Yeah. And obviously that's a tactic, the fact that he throws stuff out there, to sort of deflect from his team. So does he speak fluently? Does he speak in a way that's Churchillian, or is it because it's the man speaking, those words mean more?
Well, I think he was a big fan of Vince Lombardi, so very much he'd look at those sort of those blokes, and then I've had people that have been in corporate functions, BHP and that, and bank, and said, mate, Wayne Bennett, mate, how good. He spoke for 45 minutes, just like off the cuff, just hit messages, and just when I walked out of there, I felt like, I was ready to play for him. So I can understand how you felt.
There's a great quote in the Sydney Morning Herald from this morning from South Sydney star Adam Reynolds, and says on Wayne Bennett, he has a great personality and often doesn't always show it. And I think that's been the thing. You see him bat the journalists away and be abrasive in his press conferences, but obviously you get to see the real man.
Yeah, I love him.
The way that he treated you personally and stuff, you still call him coach in your phone. He's your guy, right?
Yeah, he is, mate. I can ring him or he checks in with me. He's great, mate. Like, sometimes he probably just ignores my calls because...
What I wanted to ask him was, he doesn't suffer fools. How did he put up with you for so long?
Oh, mate, one's got to get through the net. That's me.
Yeah. Boys, and a very exciting start to the EPL. Tottenham on top at the moment, and will stay top when they're in the first game at 9:30 tonight. But Cristiano Ronaldo has made his way back. Thought it might be Man City. In the end, it got the job done, and now he's at Manchester United, and he plays his first game tonight up against Newcastle. It's going to be live and exclusive on Optus Sport. It's going to be on just before midnight, and we have Thomas Sorensen on the line right now to talk about it. Thomas, welcome to the Dead Set Legends.
Thank you for having me on, and how exciting it is with Ronaldo back in the EPL.
There's not like the EPL needed many more big stars, but gee, there's not many bigger than him. I suppose if Messi had gone to City, it would have been even better. But just going to be amazing tonight for the crowds back at the games and him back to where it all started.
Yeah, I think you hit spot on there. There's so many storylines. Obviously for the romantics, him going back, where it all started and sort of, where he went on from and you say with the crowds, everyone at Old Trafford will be so excited, so pumped, and seems like United now have sort of regained some of the glories from previous years because they have struggled of late, and it's about time now, that they go and win a trophy with Ronaldo in the squad now.
Thomas, they did. Manchester United really did lose that aura that they had under Sir Alex Ferguson for so many years, and I mean. Do you think he brings that confidence because he's such an elite player? Do you think he's going to bring that confidence over the next few years?
I think so, because I think in any sport, it's all about culture. I think they lost that a bit when Alex Ferguson stopped, and with Ronaldo, the sort of the hunger he has, the winning mentality, the ruthlessness. I think he can add that little bit extra that United have been lacking, I think, over the last couple of years. They're getting closer. They finished second last year, so we can't really knock them, but they haven't won anything. And I think that's the big question mark. And I think Ronaldo is the player to just take them over the line.
Mate, are you surprised that Ronaldo went back to Man United? He could have went to about 10 other clubs, but to go back home, that was pretty special for him.
I think it took everyone by surprise, and myself included. Again, the rumours were there with Man City. I think it was a little bit of a play from his agent. I don't think he would ever go there. And again, I think in his mind, finishing at United, I think that's I think the ultimate thing for him, and then that's obviously why he forced a way out of Juventus.
We obviously saw Lionel Messi go to PSG, but there's been a lot of talk about Kylian Mbappe potentially leaving or getting his nose out of joint.
He can come to Liverpool if he wants. Very happy.
How do you see that? How do you see that playing out, Thomas?
Yeah, no, it's a funny thing because there's been a lot of talk about financial fair play, and when somebody offers the sums that Real Madrid apparently were willing to offer, and you turn that down with the outlook of not getting a penny, come January when he can sign for another team, it's difficult to get your head around. But on the other hand, I'm excited to see, you got Neymar, you got Messi, Mbappe. The question mark is, I'm sure he'll leave. He'll want to get out of that shadow, and it looks like Real Madrid is the takers come next year, potentially Liverpool, as you mentioned. But I just can't wait for this season. There's so many storylines, and Ronaldo, Messi, Mbappe, they're all in there.
We're talking to Thomas Sorensen, who's the Opta Sports expert, but of course, what a wonderful goalkeeper you were. 17 seasons in England, the number one keeper at Denmark for so long as well. You've really had what seems like a seamless transition from playing into the commentary box and into hosting and so forth. How much have you enjoyed it, Thomas, and as it has been as easy as it seems to be from the outside?
I think you guys can relate to it. It's it's just great to be involved still. That's where your passion is, and that's soccer is my sport. So to be able to sit here and talk about it and give yourself, give your opinion to people and analyze it. And the pressure is different. We can sit here and we can have opinions, but it doesn't really come back to haunt you as much as when you make mistakes and when you're on the pitch. So, it's just exciting. As I say, the season coming up, there's so many things to talk about, and it's just great to be right in the middle of it.
Your beloved Denmark had such a run through the Euros, but were beaten by England 2-1 in the semi-final. How do you see them going in, obviously, the qualifiers for the World Cup, but how do they go over the next few years?
No, I think Denmark has turned a corner. A little bit like United. I think they've changed the whole talent setup, the whole talent development about 10 years ago, and I think we see the fruits now of that. Players coming through. We've obviously Eriksen, everything that happened to him, but then we have a young player like Damsgaard who stepped up at the Euros, and he has just continued that. And we can look through the team, and they're the only team that's unbeaten and haven't conceded a goal in the qualifiers. So they've continued that form, and it looks as well that there's even younger players in the wings, to step up when some of the olders, look to finish. So I just can't wait. It looks like they'll go to the World Cup. I'm hoping I can go to Qatar next year and can be part of it. I think we all just dying to get in amongst the fans and be part of a big sporting event. So, I hope Denmark will be there.
The Man United match against Newcastle was live and exclusive on Opta Sport from 11:50pm tonight. Before we let you go, Thomas, your stint in the A-League with Melbourne City, how much did you enjoy that as you wrapped up your playing career?
No, it was a fantastic way to finish. It was a great challenge. That's why I came. That's why it inspired me to come, was to help, obviously the City Group to establish themselves, in the A-League, going from obviously Melbourne Heart and trying to build a championship winning team. And it's taken a few years more than I think everyone expected, but they were finally there last season, and I'm still doing a bit of ambassador work for them, and we're just so delighted to see what's been built there, and hopefully they can continue it. It looks like they've again, culture, going back to all that. They've got the right culture now, and that can keep you winning for years to come.
Fantastic. Thomas Sorensen, thank you so much for joining us on the Dead Set Legends.
It's time to fire up the flogger meter. Time to fire the flogger meter up.
Fire it up, boys.
Yeah, there's a few vlogs to talk about this week. What about this NBA legend, Shaq O'Neal, for saying this about Ben Simmons?
Ben Simmons, you're not that good. You're not great. And to be great, you have to work on your game. Don't be putting pictures on your Instagram of your Ferrari or what actress you're hanging around with.
No,
Has he overstepped the mark there?
Not at all. I think he's got every right to say it. Shaq's record is synonymous, and he's a big game player, and he's just put Ben Simmons on notice that you don't carry on like that. You need to prove yourself, and I think for him to pull out of the Olympics, for not to stand up in Phillies finals, so be it.
Okay, so you're saying not a flog for you. What about you, Del?
Yeah, I'm with this Shaq, mate. He's not a flog, mate.
Yeah.
When the big man speaks, we listen, so he's not a flog.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think he's earned the right to have those comments. So not a flog here.
Not a flog.
Okay, what about Djokovic? He's been out of this for a while.
Hold
on, mate. Let me tell you why. For losing his cool once again at the crowd in New York and taking it out on the umpire. I don't know if you saw it or not, but unless he is loved like Federer or Nadal, he just gets upset. He's got to own the fact that he's a little bit of a villain, right?
Yeah. He's on the cusp of something so
He's
special.
such a good player. Can't imagine him losing the US Open, but is he a flog again for carrying on like a pork chop?
Flog.
He's a flog. We know it. We know it.
Flog.
What about the South Australian government? Whoa, for not allowing the Western Bulldogs to train in Adelaide ahead of their match due to COVID restrictions, despite having 14 COVID tests in 25 days and being nowhere near a hotspot.
Luke Beveridge was filthy, the coach of the Bulldogs. This is
He
ridiculous.
seems like a good bloke. That
He's a
Beveridge
ripper.
guy. Would you like to have a beverage with Beveridge?
I would love to have a beer with him, mate.
Yeah.
He's a good man. Yes, flogs.
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 Yeah.
Flog.
Okay, American boxer Tony Harrison for pulling out of his fight against Tim Tszyu at the very last minute, and again with no explanation.
Flog.
Flog. You just can't keep pulling out boxing matches.
He's been there a couple of times, Tim, hasn't he?
Yes, yeah.
Flog.
Flog.
Okay, what about the Indian cricket team? For pulling out of the Test series, which at the time was just an absolute ripper. It was meant to start last night. One of their backroom staff got a COVID positive test. None of their players got a positive test. And lo and behold, most of the players are off to the UAE to play in the IPL in 9 days' time.
They were already in the air when they cancelled pretty much.
Literally, they have
Flogs.
landed in the UAE.
Flogs.
Come on, India. Flogs.
Absolute flogs.
Flog.
And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you want to hear us live, you can catch us every Saturday morning on 104.9 Triple M. We'll be back next week, of course. And thanks for listening to us on the Listener app.